Fines for snowy sidewalks.
4 killed in synagogue attack. I'm Hannah Schutzkis.
And I'm Dan Kampanen, and this is your Public Eye News. Ford is recalling over 65,000 Fusion midsize cars in North America. The reason? Because the keys can be removed if the transmission is not in park. The recall covers certain Fusions, including gas-electric hybrids, from the 2014-2015 model years. Ford traced the problem to a computer program in the instrument cluster. Keys can be removed 30 minutes after the ignition switch is turned off if the cars are left in gear. That violates U.S. safety standards and increases the risk of cars rolling away unexpectedly. Ford is not aware of any crashes or injuries from the problem. Dealers will reprogram the instrument cluster free of charge to the customer. The recall covers about 55,000 vehicles in the United States, and all others are in Canada and Mexico. If you live in Escanaba, a snowy sidewalk will cost you. The city of Escanaba is asking that you have your sidewalk cleared within 48 hours of snowfall. If they are not, the city will hire a contractor for you and you will be billed for it. These rules have been put into place for the safety of school children and mail carriers, those people that use sidewalks every day. The city asks homeowners to please remove all debris down to the concrete.
Upper Michigan residents get a bit of relief as their electric rate hikes are put on hold. The Federal Energy Regulatory Commission halted the December 1st rate increase pending further investigation. U.S. Senator Debbie Stabenow and Congressman Dan Benishek and Gary Peters have introduced new legislation to stop the hike. The cause of this issue from the Presque Isle Power Plant and all utilities having to pay a share of its operation. Bill Veda and new NMU President Fritz Erickson get a chance to become better acquainted with the city in a chat session hosted by the Associated Students of NMU, the student body government. Students were able to anonymously ask questions ranging from Greek life to snow removal. Erickson says, quote, "We are committed to the idea of opportunity for all of our students," end quote. Both Veda and Erickson are willing to answer any and all student questions.
Winter is a long season here in the Upper Peninsula, and the people of the No Kemenin trails say it's best spent outdoors. With a recent 3-foot dumping of snow, the usually dry mountain biking hills are beginning to open and groom trails for some cross-country skiing. The No Kemenon has over 50 kilometers of groomed trails for guests to take advantage of. They're even beginning to construct more beginner-friendly trails. They also have specific trails for different types of skiing and winter biking. The trails are now open and you can call their offices to get a season's pass or pay the $10 day rate. The attorney for a Wisconsin girl accused of repeatedly stabbing a classmate to please a fictional character is expected to tell a judge whether the defense will be challenging a doctor's claim that the 12-year-old is mentally fit to stand trial. A Waukesha judge is scheduled to hear from the defense Tuesday afternoon. Defense attorney Anthony Cotton said at a brief hearing last week that he needed to discuss the state's doctor's report with the defendant. The judge last August ordered the girl to undergo mental health counseling. Prosecutors say that she and another girl plotted to kill a classmate to curry favor with the character Slenderman. And stay tuned because after the break we'll have your national and international news.
The polar bear's world is disappearing beneath its feet as solid ice turns to open sea. And stories are emerging of the most powerful marine mammal on the planet taking advantage.
Oh my God!
With the ability to learn from one another. Killer whales are the dominant predator wherever they go. Whatever happens next is bound to be dramatic.
Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern.
Welcome back. 2 Palestinian cousins wielding knives and a gun attacked a Jerusalem synagogue during morning prayers on Tuesday. Police came to the scene within a few minutes, shooting and killing the attackers inside the synagogue in West Jerusalem. 6 people have been wounded and 3 dual U.S.-Israeli citizens and a British-Israeli citizen have been killed. The terror attack is being considered the deadliest in Jerusalem since a man with an automatic weapon killed 8 students in 2008. After the attack, Israeli Prime Minister's office vowed, quote, we will respond with a heavy hand to the brutal murder of Jews who came to pray and were met by reprehensible murderers, end quote. People on Chicago's South Side woke up in a hurry early this morning when a small plane slammed into a home. The pilot died, but no one was on the ground was seriously injured. Adriana Diaz has the story.
The wreckage of a small cargo plane rests on the front porch of a Chicago home. The plane crashed early this morning in a residential neighborhood shortly after taking off from Midway Airport.
The pilot advised air traffic control that he had some type of engine problem and he was attempting to return to the airport.
Investigators say the aircraft went down about a quarter mile from the runway. The pilot's body was found at the crash site. There were no other passengers on board. Neighbors say they won't forget the sound.
It was a sputtering and then a long, you know how you rev your engine real quick? And then the next thing you know, you heard is a bang.
A neighbor and police rescued 2 elderly people from the home.
They're okay. She's a little confused right now.
They were in a bedroom next to the living room, and most of the plane is in the living room. They're just very lucky that where they were at.
Fire officials say the wreckage came within 8 inches of where the couple was sleeping. Adriana Diaz, CBS News, Chicago.
President Obama says West Africa is nowhere near out of the woods on fighting Ebola. He said the disease remains a world threat as long as the outbreak continues. Obama commented Tuesday as he met with his Ebola response team. The meeting came a day after a surgeon who contracted Ebola in his native Sierra Leone died at a Nebraska hospital after being rushed to the United States for treatment. Obama said it's also important to push forward on efforts to stop Ebola at its source. He called on Congress to approve his request for a $6.2 billion in emergency spending to confront Ebola in its source in West Africa and prevent its spread to the United States. He wants lawmakers to act before they conclude their work for the year. Like President Obama stated, the fight against Ebola continues, and some specifically trained soldiers are preparing to deploy to West Africa. CBS's Mark Kelly has the latest details on the next steps against Ebola.
These have been the images out of West Africa. Doctors and nurses risking their own lives, volunteering to fight the epidemic. Today, reinforcements announced in the war against Ebola.
Our soldiers are well prepared to do this kind of thing.
California's 223rd is a specialized military intelligence battalion. Its soldiers specifically deployed for their ability to speak the language.
We know that they won't be directly providing care to folks who have contracted Ebola, but we expect them to have some sort of language support for that mission.
These soldiers will be entering a different kind of battle. Many signed up for active combat, but Operation United Assistance is largely humanitarian work. Veteran Tycho Washington served in the Marines. For him, whether terrorists in the Middle East or Ebola in West Africa, it is all about serving your country.
We all wanted to be used for a function. And so it didn't matter whether our function was to be a professional rifle company or to go out there and do humanitarian work.
Although guns and bullets aren't the concern, the danger doing humanitarian work in West Africa is still just as real. And no one knows that better than a veteran.
It's your duty to go to wherever they send you, and that's where you have to go.
And go they will this spring. And their leadership has all the confidence in the world in the 6 soldiers selected.
So if they can handle the combat in the heat of Baghdad or somewhere in Afghanistan, I think they could probably handle a mission to West Africa.
80-year-old mass murderer Charles Manson plans to marry 26-year-old Afton Elaine Burton, who left her home and spent the past 9 years trying to help exonerate him. Manson was convicted in the 1960s after the murders of 7 people, including pregnant actress Sharon Tate. No date has been set for the wedding, but Burton says she's interested in working on his case, and marrying him would allow her to get more information that's not available to non-relatives. Manson is not eligible for parole until 2027. And after the break, we'll have your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
Landslides, devastating killers.
I saw a gigantic wall of flood, and then we were hit.
Now, the race is on to understand these powerful disasters.
There were no remnants of homes because all I could see was just a vast wasteland.
Can scientists predict the next slide before it's too late?
Are there any injuries?
Yes, there's people yelling for help.
Killer landslides on Nova.
Wednesday evening at 9.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. My name's Dane Wormlinger with your local weather. I hope you all are staying pretty warm. Well, it's cold outside and the wind sure isn't helping, as you can see behind me in the Academic Mall. Right now in Marquette, it's about 18 degrees with winds north-northwest at 18 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure is holding at 29.72 inches. Looking into tonight, you can expect partly cloudy skies with a low of 7 degrees and winds south-southwest at 12 miles per hour. Looking into tomorrow, you can expect snowy skies with a high of 24 degrees and winds south-southwest at 11 miles per hour. Looking around the UP right now, in Sault Ste. Marie, 23 degrees with snowy skies. Manistee, partly cloudy skies at 22 degrees. Escanaba, 21 degrees and cloudy skies. And Menominee at 19 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Iron Mountain right now is at 16 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Ironwood at 12 degrees with cloudy skies. And Houghton and Marquette are both cloudy skies with 18 degrees. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Thursday, you can expect a high of 18 degrees and a low of 6 degrees with snowy skies. On Friday, you can expect a high of 19 degrees with a low of 13 degrees with snowy skies. And on Saturday, a high of 35 degrees and a low of 26 degrees with cloudy skies. Well, the snow just keeps on coming. It's got to stop sometime, huh?
Yep, and Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson has to stop as well. The NFL announced today that Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson has been suspended without pay for the remainder of the season. Peterson was indicted in September on a felony charge of injury to a child. Peterson pled no contest to a misdemeanor reckless assault charge on November 4th. Peterson was given 80 hours of community service and a fine of $4,000 as a result of the case. The league informed Peterson this morning in a letter from Commissioner Roger Goodell. Goodell made a statement in the letter saying that Peterson showed no sign of remorse for his conduct. There are 6 games left in the season, so Peterson will cost $4.1 million. Peterson and the NFL Players Association announced their plan to appeal immediately after the league made the announcement. The Detroit Red Wings will take on the Columbus Blue Jackets tonight in Ohio. The Wings are coming off a 4-1 loss to the Montreal Canadiens on Sunday. They now have a record of 8 wins, 4 losses, and 5 ties compared to Montreal's 6 wins, 10 losses, and 1 tie. Columbus is 4th in the NHL on the power play with 7 goals in the last 16 chances. Detroit has the league's 3rd best penalty kill at 88%. Goaltender Jimmy Howard says the team's offense will be the focal point. Howard stated in an interview that, quote, "When we score first, we seem to be a pretty good team. When we get behind by a goal or spot the team a couple, it just seems to be an uphill climb for us," end quote. Howard will make his 5th straight start tonight. Game time is set at 7 p.m. The Detroit Pistons suffered from another loss last night, this time at the hands of the Orlando Magic. The Magic were led by youngsters Nikola Vucevic and Tobias Harris. Vucevic put up 25 points, 14 rebounds, and 3 assists. The Pistons got help from forward Caron Butler and starting point guard Brandon Jennings, but didn't get much help elsewhere. Butler chipped in 20 points, and Jennings added 18 points and 6 assists. Rising star Andre Drummond added a double-double of 12 points and 10 rebounds, but it was not enough for the Pistons, who were playing their 5th game in 7 nights. Detroit dropped to a record of 3-8. Their next game is tomorrow night against the impressive Phoenix Suns. Game time is at 7:30 at the Palace of Auburn Hills. So, Hannah, apparently you can never get too old for a drug bust.
Apparently, drug dealing isn't just a young man's game, at least not for 79-year-old Marshall Dion, who was arrested after police found more than $800,000 in cash in his vehicle and 400 pounds of pot in his possession. Police made the discovery after pulling the man over in Junction City, Kansas for speeding. Dion's lawyer plans to argue in federal court today the searches were illegal and that evidence should be tossed out. And New York's Times Square's newest, biggest, and most expensive digital billboard is set to light up in New York City tonight. The screen is 1 block long and over 8 stories tall. Advertisers will pay more than $2.5 million for 4 weeks of mega screen time.
You would think there would be a cutoff point for age as far as drug busts.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
Well, who knows? Being in that retirement home, maybe they get a little bored in there or something.
Yep. Definitely need something to consume time, probably.
Yeah.
And that's all for your Public Eye News today. Tune in tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.